and welcome to another perfectly normal New Year's episode of Connected, number 584. We are not the kind of podcast that gives our hosts ridiculous, made-up titles. No, we don't. So why would we? I would like to introduce you to my entirely unremarkable friend and co-host, James Thompson. Hi, James.
Thanks, Jason. It is always a pleasure to do this show. And I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to make up for any bad behavior that may or may not have occurred last year. But in turn, I'd like to introduce you to my completely fine co-host, John Voorhees.
Hello, everybody. Could we just maybe think about going back to titles because I kind of miss them? I mean, I feel like I have a chance to win this time around, and I just like to have a title again. But yeah, we're back. We're back together again. Yeah, we're back together, and it's you expect us because we're here every week. Yeah, well, let's go on with the show, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's perfectly normal. Let's do some follow-up. A lot of people wrote in to complain that James was too mean to John. This happened. We're sorry. We didn't notice because we just assumed that that's what happens. But obviously other people notice. James, be nicer. The Connectidians demand it.
He knows what he did.
Yeah, but just nicer.
James, come on. Hey, look, we got some really nice compliments last week too that I wanted to mention because we had those great kids on. We had Federico, Stephen, and Mike, and they're doing some great stuff over at the Prompt.
Yeah.
So we're really proud of them. I mean, they're out there doing their thing and doing their podcasts. I'm glad that they're still around.
Yeah, it's good to hear from those boys. Nice, very nice.
I am informed by a few listeners that Jason was incorrect when he said that Netflix offered a buttload of money. In the UK, we say and it was David Ellison who offered
it. It's a slightly different system of measurement for sure.
Yeah, I regret the error, I guess. Fine. Okay, James, I think we put this off long enough. It's time.
Yes. So as with every single New Year's Day episode that we've done, we like to look back on the previous year and present some awards to the deserving candidates. So I welcome you to the 2025 Japeries.
Woohoo! Okay, I'll kick it off with the Most Self-Indulgent Synergy Award. This goes to Apple for its sudden, wholehearted embrace of Formula One in all its forms as it was releasing F1 the movie. Probably my favorite thing. And John, you might have gotten this press briefing or thing or email.
Yes.
They made this big deal out of adding a 3D Monaco to Apple Maps because the Monaco Grand Prix was going to be happening there in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was like, that Apple Maps as your Formula One synergy is going a bit far, in my opinion.
They even had little cars on the map. It was really cute.
Yeah, it was. It's just, there was so much. Like Apple went from 0 to 50.
Yeah,
in its love of F1.
They started with Tim Cook waving a flag after all.
That's true.
The cars on the 3D map were definitely a step up from there.
I think it was the fact that every time I opened any part of iOS, it was plugging the movie.
Yes.
You open up Find Mine, it'll tell you where you can find the movie and things like that.
All right. Well, our second award for this installment of the Japeries is the Everywhere and Nowhere All at Once Award. And this year, that goes to our friend App Intense because, App Intense, they're both everywhere, powering everything all at once, but they're also kind of nowhere because they're not really doing much with Siri these days.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't rush to fully re-implement all my App Intent code, for Siri because I've probably got another couple of years.
Give it time.
Yeah, you've got to have that action that does 1 + 1 in PCalc,
Indeed. So the Alan Dye Award for being completely transparent goes to Tim Cook for handing over that glass and gold trophy. You know the one. We're not going to mention to who. But the transactional nature, shall we say, of some of these interactions did rankle a little bit.
I think that's fair. I'm going to give the Graceful Exit Award. And this goes to Jeff Williams, former Apple COO, who managed to cover himself in dignity by retiring, not having anything weird going on, not being part of a week of Apple executives coming and going. He just retired to spend time with his family.
It was good.
Yeah. I want to applaud him. He sounds like he made a decision like a regular human being. And you know what? His reward for that, in addition to the Graceful Exit Award, is that he got a seat on the Disney board of directors, which has got to be pretty sweet for a retirement gig.
I mean, it's spend time with the family and spend time with the board.
And lifetime pass for your whole family to all Disney parks everywhere, I assume, as a part of that. So awesome. Good job, Jeff Williams. Graceful Exit Award.
Yeah, well done, well done. The this year's Finally Award goes to Apple Product Marketing for finally unifying the OS version numbers on all the platforms.
Finally, John, it's so nice. I know James is it's probably complicated for developers. For
it's always complicated.
For writers, it is so nice to be able to casually say, "Oh, the 26.2 updates came out today."
Yes, it is so nice. Although I do now find myself forgetting what the last version of all the OSs was, because I think about 26 all the time now. I don't think about 18 or 11 or whatever it is of the other things.
I mean, this is Apple product marketing. They've just retroactively renamed them. So like 25, 24, 23.
that would be really complicated. We'd have to have a chart, I think.
Yeah, the A-series processors still bother me, but
yes,
because they're so close to the iPhone numbers, but not.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure they will like round up these like renegade numbers every now and again and just change them to whatever the current main number is.
I hope so.
The Are We the Baddies Award goes jointly to Services Revenue and the App Store for continuing to fight all attempts at regulation on a country-by-country basis, rather than just say, well, actually, the right thing to do is this. No, we will fight it in every court in the land.
Yeah, I mean, you're literally giving an award to Services Revenue, which I think is a bold move. And I guess you can go to the purple charts on 6 Colors and give it to them there. They're the purple bar. So it's a war on all fronts for Apple. Continues to be.
Wars on all fronts go so well.
They do. I am going to give what I'm calling the Most Dented Can Award to Satellite SOS, which has always been introduced as being only for a couple of years. You're not going to get it forever. Everybody's like, well, what happens when that runs out and Apple hasn't said anything, and they keep deferring with, kicking the can down the road because they can't quite figure out how to square the idea that they need to make money from a service that is designed to keep people from dying, because that leads in some very distressing places. I would argue that when you buy an iPhone, you probably should just get Satellite SOS for the life of the iPhone. But I find it very funny that Apple continues to struggle with whether they're going to let you and what happens if it lapses by saying, no, another year, it's fine. And that can is so dented now.
I think the commercial that, for that feature would be quite different if it was a paid service.
Yeah.
Probably they'd have a way that you could activate the subscription over satellite so that you could pay for it, when you're on the mountain and you really need it, press here to sign up and send an SOS.
My thought was that they would build out all of these other things like texting and all of that. And at that point they would charge for that, but they'd keep the underlying SOS allowed. Or alternately,
that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah,
they would alternately they could charge you per use. So if you have to use SOS and you're not, then you just pay $10 or whatever to Apple. But I think it's better if the SOS part just stays free forever with your expensive iPhone purchase. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me too. Well, this year's Musical Chairs Award goes to Apple's AI team, who seemingly can't sit still for more than a few months at a time.
Yeah, who would get it? We don't know.
I mean, it's the fact that, are they at Google? Are they at Meta? Are they at Apple? Who could say? Although there seem to be a lot more chairs empty at Apple than there are anywhere else.
Yeah, well, they're rearranging them. That's nothing bad could happen if you rearrange the deck chairs, right?
The musical deck chairs are what?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I like that. Finally, the Louvre Award for the heist of the century goes to generative AI for continuing to steal the creative work of everybody on the planet.
I see what you did there. Okay, that was great. I think we had a good time. Always like to do some fake awards. Now it's
Real
sponsor time, and again, because of our bad behavior in the past, Relay FM co-founder Stephen Hackett has insisted that he read the ads because sponsors won't let us do it anymore. Everybody knows why. We won't get into it. Stephen, please read an ad now.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Sentry. Logs are really helpful when they're part of the full picture, not stuck as a separate tool. Sentry's new log tools bring them into the same view as your errors, traces, and performance data. So you can search structured logs, see them in context with the issues you're already debugging, and connect them directly to the code and spans that matter. We use Sentry here at Relay to monitor both our CMS and our ad inventory management system. We built both. They're both ours, and we got a part-time developer. He's a freelancer. He's got other stuff going on. I have other stuff going on. So we rely on Sentry to alert us when there's an issue. He gets an email, I see it in Slack, and we can get to work. And don't forget, when you sign up, you'll have Seer, Sentry's new AI debugging agent, on hand too. It's like hiring an engineer who already knows your entire code base. Seer finds the correct root cause 94% of the time and can even provide merge-ready PRs based on that analysis. Try it for free at Sentry.io and tell them that we sent you. That's Sentry, Sentry, Sentry.io. They have a free dev plan, and listeners of this show can use the code CONNECTED on sign up for 3 months free of their team plan and 150,000 free errors. That's Sentry.io with the code CONNECTED, or check out the link in the show notes. My thanks to Sentry for their support of Connected and all of Relay.
Well, thank you, Stephen. And now we come to the section that some people have been waiting for. I don't think that any of us should be defined by our wins, losses, cheating in these Pickies competitions. I mean, we all contribute so much to the podcast each year on top of that. But I guess we should look back and just see how good we were at predicting the technology trends of 2025. And first up, because we have multiple competitions to adjudicate this year, we have the overall annual Pickies for 2025.
I'm feeling pretty good about this one.
Oh boy, this is going to be amazing.
Please lower your shoulders and relax for the reading of the Minimalist Pickies Charter.
Every year, we play 2 games and predict what will happen at WWDC and throughout the year.
We pick in reverse order of the previous contest's final standings.
Everyone picks 5 things that they think will happen.
The person with the most right things wins.
In the case of a tie, there are multiple winners. We do not let mere chance determine success here.
There shall be no disputes over scoring because we are just inherently honorable people.
I think we're going to have to change number 1 on the charter to say we sometimes we play a third game, which is predicting things in the autumn.
Yes,
but
yes.
we'll do that on Jason Voorhees Day next year. It'll be fine.
Yes.
For those who don't know, that's the first Friday the 13th of the year is officially Jason Voorhees Day. Every day is James Thompson Day. It's fine.
I like to think so.
Okay, it's round 1. I guess we should recap our own picks here. So, John, why don't you get us started?
Sure. So I said that a revision or new model of the Apple Watch will be introduced that supports a news sensor. Nope.
Yeah, this is false. I said that a new iPhone SE would be introduced that supported Apple Intelligence. Now, the lawyers have said that no iPhone SE was introduced, and thus this is false.
Yes.
You could argue that the 16E is really an iPhone SE, but that's not how I worded it.
You could have argued that if you had worded this slightly differently, you would have been correct.
Yes, if I had written a different sentence,
a new low end iPhone model, right?
Yeah, but
you didn't.
No, but since there are other people who have also mentioned iPhone SEs, I'm prepared to accept this rule.
So my first pick, boy, I was so confident in this. Apple will introduce a new home appliance with a screen. Well, it requires new Siri. And last year at New Year's, we still thought maybe Apple was going to ship AI features, which they didn't at all the whole year. So that's false. Wrong. Let's move on to round 2. That was bad. Swing and a miss.
All right. Well, I got on the iPhone SE bandwagon too, and I predicted that the iPhone SE would have a 48 megapixel camera sensor. Nope.
No, of course, the 16E did,
yeah,
but that's not an SE.
Not an SE. Could have worded it better.
I picked there was going to be a brand new redesigned mouse, and I don't know why I picked that.
At the time I was baffled. I'm still baffled.
I mean, it was like, because we had the whole, all the jokes, all the memes about the Magic Mouse with its plug in the bottom thing. I thought there would be something, but no, apparently not.
I applaud your optimism, James.
Yeah, it's wish casting.
Speaking of optimism, and returning to my theme of what we thought about AI last year at the turn of the new year, I said a third-party LLM partner other than OpenAI will finally be announced by Apple, but it won't actually be available until the last quarter of 2025. This is false on all counts. Remember when they kept dropping Google Gemini's name in 2024 in the summer? And here we are a year and a half later, and it's still just OpenAI.
Yeah, I just don't understand what's going on there. I mean, the only thing I can think of is there's money exchanging hands in some direction, but
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't help that they don't have Smart Siri ready. I mean, what are you going to do? We're going to use Gemini someday in a product that might come out at some time.
Well, also, third-party LLM provider, like if you're working with Google on being the first-party LLM provider, maybe you just don't need to worry about the third-party stuff. OpenAI has probably the most popular
that's true.
Consumer AI, so you could throw that in there. But yeah, I think in the background they're working with Google on Gemini reportedly. Like that, I guess that takes priority. Anyway, I'm just really surprised that we've gone 18 months. But all the AI choices that we thought last year are just wrong because they didn't do it. They didn't do anything.
Yeah. You're right. All right. So we're on to round 3.
The scores, by the way, for people who are wondering, are still everybody has nothing. So
well, yes, we're about to ramp it up here. I think I feel good about the next 3 rounds. In round 3, I predicted that Apple will not announce a new Vision Pro before the next annual Pickies.
John,
here we are, and we did in fact get an M5 Vision Pro.
I thought this was a lock.
Very surprised.
I thought this was a lock for you. I cannot believe it.
I know. I was very surprised.
Wow. Yeah, M5 Vision Pro. Who knew?
Yep. And sometimes you need to make bold predictions. And I said that Apple was going to get back into the Wi-Fi router business just because, and I'll say the reason that I picked this is I'm really fed up with all my Wi-Fi routing equipment and I want something that works. But Apple did not return.
No.
Between this and the mouse, though, James, something must have happened. You had a moment there.
Yeah. He really thought he was Nostradamus there for a minute. And
he did.
I mean, like sometimes I think if you pick the really bold thing and it comes true, you look so good.
It's true.
But if you pick the really bold thing and it doesn't come true, you look like a fool.
Lots of style points there. Well, I thought a pretty clever prediction, which was that Apple will receive a record fine from the European Commission. Now, in 2024, the record was what did we look at? We looked it up, James. 1.2
it was
billion?
Like 1.8 billion.
1.8 billion euro.
It was billions.
And this is false because the biggest fine Apple got in 2025 was $500 million. So not even close.
A mere $500 million.
Not even close. So that's wrong. Scores remain 0. We got a couple more rounds to get some points here, John.
All right, round 4. A new Apple TV will be introduced with Apple Intelligence features. Another one that I'm a little surprised didn't happen.
Yeah, I think when there's all these rumors of like, oh, there's going to be this, and we're expecting it to be announced, like towards the end of the year, and just nothing happens. And I've got to assume everything is tied to Apple Intelligence, and there is a giant factory somewhere just full of new HomePods and Apple TVs. I said that Apple would introduce an M series chip in a configuration that is better than an Ultra, which was laughable. And I can't even remember if they introduced the new Ultra last year.
They did, but it was the M3 and not the
that's
M4.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes. That was the weirdest naming choice. I mean, I guess they're being truthful.
Mm-hmm.
I got to wonder if the Ultra's on the way out.
I don't think so, because I think the Mac Pro is on the way out.
Though, yeah, I think you're right. I think the Ultra will stick around, but it is awfully weird to just kind of throw in the M3 Ultra in the mix with all the M4s.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't really know what's going on there. My prediction was that the only new feature on the MacBook Air beyond an M4 processor will be an upgraded webcam. Now, I feel like this is the closest any of us have come to being right so far.
Yeah, I'd written, it has better support for multiple monitors, which is a feature that Apple breaks out in the spec chart for it.
Yeah, and it's a feature, I think, of the design of the M4, but I have to go with you that's a feature. They did upgrade the webcam, by the way, but that monitor support, I think, puts it over the edge as another new feature. So I should have said something about like hardware here, because that's really what I meant.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so good on Apple. They, I should have picked the new. There's a new color in the MacBook Air that nobody can see, but I didn't do that. Okay, no score still. Round 5. Go ahead, John.
All right, here we go. Final round. Let's pull out a big win here.
Sudden death.
I predicted that the M5 will separate the CPU and GPU memory architecture, which will be explained in the context of improving Apple Intelligence and gaming, which is, again, untrue. Instead, we got neural accelerators, which are doing something similar to what I was thinking of.
Yeah, this was a wild choice. This is one of those choices. This is like a James choice.
I think that at one point there was a rumor that the sandwiching of like the multi-layer chip architecture was somehow separating those in some way. But obviously that's not true.
I mean, two things that you could say that Apple didn't really care about last year were gaming and Apple Intelligence.
they say they care about the gaming.
I mean, they
James.
do every time, but it's a real Lucy's football of a promise.
I know. I've given up. My optimism about gaming on the Mac is fading.
Yeah. Again, last round, wild picks. I said that Apple was going to announce a partnership with a third-party publisher, e.g. Sony or Steam, to help bring games to the Vision Pro.
There you go.
Now, you could say that adding support for Sony's VR controllers
I mean, only
would be a thing to help
only in the
games
sense
to
that
the Vision Pro.
you use the word Sony in your pick, but otherwise, no.
I mean, define partnership, really.
Yeah, publisher to bring games.
Yeah.
I like how you slid in there that you think this was your wild pick, as if your previous 4 picks were not also wild picks.
I feel somebody needs to not just go for the obvious.
Okay, all right. Well, I went.
Jason, you're the only hope here.
I went with the obvious, and my pick is so bad that it's wrong before it gets halfway through the sentence, which is Apple's home appliance with a screen will be named in whole or in part HomePod, rebranding the whole home line as HomePod. Well, they would have to ship a home appliance with a screen for that to happen. We all thought it would happen. It didn't happen. We think mostly because the whole Siri architecture that it was built to use didn't ship. And so no home appliance.
I think we were all ahead of our time, Jason.
Yeah,
I think
that's some of these things will happen. But it means our final score is I have nothing, James has nothing, John has nothing, which means you could view that as we all lost, but I prefer to think we all tied and are winners.
Yeah, by the description in the charter, it's 3-way tie. We all won.
I think so. Okay, one more obligatory commercial from Stephen Hackett.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Squarespace. It's a new year, and you're probably thinking about new projects. Whether it's a new company or side gig, or maybe getting to work on stuff that you've needed to do for a while, but now's a great time. Both of those things probably include your website. And whether you're building something new or you're scaling something up, Squarespace is the place to go. With Squarespace, you can easily claim a domain name, showcase your offerings with a professional website, grow your brand, and get paid all in one place. 2026 marks about year 175 that I've been using Squarespace. I've been using it a really long time. And one of the things I really like about it is that you can grow and expand your website as your needs change. Maybe you don't need video courses on day one, or maybe you're not ready to book experiences and deal with invoices right now, but maybe you will be down the road. Well, Squarespace makes it really easy to add those things as you go. And they have a bunch of integrated tools, so you have information about those decisions. Things like integrated SEO tools. Every Squarespace is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more. And you can see how that traffic is doing with the built-in analytics. They're intuitive and easy to use. You can review website traffic, learn where to focus engagement, and track revenue from bookings, invoices, or product sales. So if you're ready to build something, go to squarespace.com/connected for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code CONNECTED to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's squarespace.com/connected, offer code CONNECTED to get 10% off your first purchase and to show your support for the show. Our thanks to Squarespace for supporting Connected and all of Relay.
All right, it is time for us to score more Pickies because we did our autumn edition, a new flavor. The leaves turn colors, and we decided to play a game where we zeroed in on like the last few months of the year. So here we go. Let's. Are we ready? Are we ready to do the autumn edition? John, did you want to say something here?
I do. I have a little statement to make.
Okay.
You know, regular listeners are going to remember that there were some questionable rules added to the Pickies Charter in the autumn by James in an attempt to give them an unfair advantage as well as boost his ego.
Yeah. Well, let's read the rules and see what we think, James.
All right.
Yes, my lawyer has told me not to comment. Every year, we play 3 games and we predict what will happen at WWDC during the autumnal season, a new edition, and over the course of the whole year.
James always picks first. John then flips a coin to see who goes second.
And for the autumnal Pickies, everyone picks 5 things they think will happen between September 1st and the annual Pickies episode at the end of the year. James gets an additional 6th pick because he just deserves it.
In the case of a tie, there are multiple winners. Unless one of those winners is James, in which case he wins by default.
Why do we let
See,
him
if
do
I'd
this?
had that for the previous one, I'd have been sorted.
Yeah, there shall be no disputes over scoring because we are all just inherently honorable people, especially James, who is the most honorable. That's what it says here. I got to read it.
Yeah.
At the end of each round, Jason and John will alternate saying something nice about James.
James will say, "Thank you very much," and we will then move on to the next round.
Well, that's how it worked. And now we have to score it. So let's see how we did. Round 1. Of course, James went first, and John flipped a coin, and John won. So it'll go in that order. James, what did you pick in round 1?
I'm sure my hubris will not result in a terrible loss here. Anyway, my round 1 pick was an M5 Pro or an M5 Max chip will ship before the end of the year. This was surprisingly false.
Yeah, really surprised. I thought that was a good choice, and they only rolled out the M5 and only in the low end MacBook Pro and an iPad. It was surprising.
So you can buy a MacBook Pro and you can have a an M5 or an M4
Yeah,
Max.
the worst one is the M5. It's weird.
It is weird. I was convinced we would have a second event in like early November, basically, but
yeah,
we did not. Anyway, my pick was that AirPods Pro 3 would be released, and they were. So
a right
point for
answer.
me. Yes,
Well,
finally.
So predicting a year ahead, we're very bad. Predicting 3 months ahead, we're better
yes.
already.
yes.
So good
slightly.
job. AirPods Pro 3 came out. My pick in the first round was the new iPhone will be, or a new iPhone will be less than 6 millimeters thick, but not as thin as an iPad Pro. And
Boom.
This was so precisely
I nailed it.
chosen.
Nailed
Yep,
it.
Absolutely.
Nailed it. I got one right here. It's thin. It's super thin, but not as thin as my iPad Pro, which I also have right here. So, if they fight it out, the iPad Pro still wins.
I said for round 2, one of the new phones will have an 8x or greater optical zoom. And I think this is true.
Yeah.
It's a 48 megapixel sensor, and they're just taking the middle 24 out of it. But
I think the whole point was that there's a camera stop that says 8x, and I think that
which there is.
I
yeah.
think you got it because of that,
Yeah.
Apple would certainly like you to believe that there is an 8x.
Agreed.
and that it's optical.
Yeah.
All right. I predicted that the Apple TV would be updated, and it was not. I don't know why I was so into the Apple TV.
Lucy keeps pulling the football away from you. You're like, no,
I
that Apple
know.
TV, it's really going to happen. I
don't even really need or want another Apple TV, but I was convinced it was coming.
I picked Apple TV Plus shows will win several Emmy Awards, but not the most of any outlet, which, again, I think I got it. I threaded the needle there. They did win a bunch of Emmys, but they didn't win the most.
I mean, I would argue that the thing is not called Apple TV Plus anymore.
It was at the time when they won the Emmy Awards, though. So
yeah.
That's true.
Fair.
That's true. And if you go to their PR webpage, it still says TV Plus there too.
This is such a good branding campaign. I like the part where they changed the name and then didn't have their new little bumper to show up for like another 2 weeks. It was like really lockstep. Great job, everybody. That should have been one of our awards at the beginning, is the perfect rebranding campaign award.
Round 3. Again, we're picking things that we were certain were going to turn up. A new Apple Studio display is introduced with a better camera I won't complain about. And again, halfway through the sentence, I've already lost. But the rumors still say it's coming. And it sounds really nice.
There were new rumors that it's going to be ProMotion and have some sort of HDR, which, I mean, like, duh. Of course it should have those things, but it still hasn't shipped.
Yeah.
All right. I predicted that at least one Apple Watch will be released that doesn't need an iPhone for Workout Buddy.
Oh.
And I was wrong. The Workout Buddy is still, needs its own buddy, which is the iPhone.
I totally get what you're saying here, right? Because the idea is sometimes Apple introduces a feature in the new OSs at WWDC and puts constraints on them that are resolved by new hardware in the fall that they can't talk about. But it didn't happen.
Because they're constraints that don't make a lot of sense. And especially for people who are like bike riding, running, that kind of thing. The whole idea, if you get a cellular Apple Watch, you can go do those things without your phone. But now, if you want the Workout Buddy, which admittedly, not the greatest feature ever, but you can't do that still.
All right. My next pick in the third round was a kind of a layup, but you never know. Apple sometimes doesn't do things, but Apple will release a heartwarming film, long commercial, for the holiday season. And they did Friends, the Flight of the Conchords. They had puppets in a forest. Yep. It was heartwarming. It was called a film. It was a long commercial because they used an iPhone to shoot it all. The little puppet shot it all on the iPhone as well. So iPhones shooting iPhones. So I get that. Let's do a little score recap, shall we? After 3 rounds, I have 3 points. John has 1 point.
1 point.
And James has 1 point. So
yep,
that's how it is. Let's see how those scores can change in round 4.
So round 4, I said that Apple will drop a promo for their Neuromancer TV show. And the reason I picked this was that had it been at least one promotional image had come out months before.
Yeah.
Right.
I was convinced we would get something. We did not.
We don't have any idea when that's even coming at this point, I don't think, do we? I
No,
assume next year
Next
sometime.
year, but that's it. They haven't given it
Yeah.
a date. I assume they'll give it a date when they release a trailer for it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really haven't actually announced very much for 2026 yet. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a couple of things that were just recently announced for April, but there's not much beyond January
Right.
that's been.
I keep saying
talked
next
about.
year. People should know we recorded this a little bit before New Year's. It's being released on New Year's Day. So when I say next year, I
This
mean
is true.
26. We're in 25.
Yes.
Hello, this is the past, but we're going to pretend that it's New Year's Day.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm trying not to say 2027 at this point.
Yeah.
I'm confused all over the
yeah,
place.
it's true.
All right. My prediction was that Apple will make an acquisition that's reported to be valued at more than $5 billion. And for context, the Beats acquisition, which is the biggest one ever, was $3 billion. And I was convinced that given all the froth in the AI market, that Apple was going to make some kind of acquisitions of something, and it would be very expensive, and that they were ready to do that. And apparently that's not what
Probably
happened.
not. Also, Warner Brothers Discovery was sitting right there.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
too.
I said Apple will make another newsroom post about a financial commitment to something involving American manufacturing. Just
And it
because
should-
it seems like they would do that, right? And indeed, on December 8th, they posted Apple Manufacturing Academy launches virtual programming, in which they boast about their plan to invest $600 billion in the U.S. economy over the next 4 years. Do I know Apple or not?
You do. In fact, they did this over and over and over
Mhm.
again in 2025.
That's,
I wonder why.
I wonder why. All right, round 5. James?
Yeah. So I was feeling negative about the chances of the Vision Pro having any kind of revival, and I said no new Vision Pro hardware would ship before the end of the year. And I fell into the same trap that John fell into, because they did. They even had a new strap, so it was a surprise to us all.
Yeah, the strap was a surprise. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So
I still need to order one of those.
they're
It's
quite
good.
good. They're quite nice.
it's good.
I meant to put it on my Christmas list, and I forgot.
All right. So I predicted that Apple will introduce at least one new OS feature based on new hardware that wasn't in the iOS 26 betas.
See?
And
Yeah.
that was true. It's the new selfie stuff.
Yeah, it's always a
Yeah.
camera feature, isn't it?
Yep. It really is.
Almost always. Anyway.
And this is you can hold your phone vertically and get a
Mhm.
a horizontal
Yeah.
selfie cam shot, and it's very nice.
Cool.
I've got it.
It's cool. It's definitely the best selfie camera I've ever owned. Like
Mhm.
it's really good. They always hold that stuff back. It's really funny. They've gotten better. I will say this: they've gotten better at hiding its presence in the betas. 'Cause
Yes.
we used to be able to divine these features and therefore features of the new iPhones from the betas, but they seem to have properly concealed it now.
Yeah, that one was really well hidden. I don't think anybody came up with that in advance.
I don't think so. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the software side is everything leaks from the supply chain, right?
Right.
Very little leaks from inside Cupertino, and it's mostly just Mark Gurman sources. And this was a really interesting one because if you can hold the software really close, you can still surprise people a little bit because they can keep a really tight circle around it, and they did with this feature. So good for them. My ridiculous round 5 pick was that the Mac Pro will be updated or an update will be announced, and I have gone 180 on the Mac Pro now. I think it's never going to be updated again,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
going to be
finished.
discontinued. But I've learned my lesson. I don't get a point here. Ugh.
Nope.
If they ship another Mac Pro, it's just going to be Mac Studio like sellotaped inside the case
yeah.
of a Mac Pro.
That's about it. Round 6 is the bonus pick for James because James knows what we did, I
Yeah.
guess. James, what was your pick?
So you can tell how I don't want to say positive we were on Apple Intelligence.
this 3 months
because
ago.
That's not true. But I said that Apple would make a significant investment into Anthropic or buy them outright, mirroring Microsoft's investment into OpenAI. Because it seemed like they were just completely failing to do anything. And so the way out of that is you spend some money. But they didn't do that, and they continue to not seem to be making much progress. But who knows what's happening behind the scenes?
Extra pick squandered,
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
Totally
I know.
squandered.
As I say, hubris. It just got me.
It got you. It got you. So the final scores, it does me great pleasure to announce I had 4, John had 2. James, with his extra pick, still only finished with 1, and that means I am the winner.
I did get compliments out of it, and I think that
is true.
All right.
that's
Well,
the
that's
real
going to
win.
change for next time. All right. With that, everybody, it's time to make our picks for 2026. After the
All
harrowing
right.
events of the autumnal Pickies, it has been universally voted that James be stripped of all unconstitutional powers and that additional safeguards be put in place to stop such things ever happening again. These are the new rules, John.
All right. Every year we play 3 games and predict what will happen at WWDC during the autumnal season and throughout the year.
We pick in reverse order of the previous contest's final standings.
Everyone picks 5 things they think will happen.
The person with the most right things wins.
In the case of a tie, there are multiple winners, or losers,
Yeah.
I guess. We do not let mere chance determine success here.
There shall be no disputes over scoring because we are all inherently honorable people, aside from James, who is questionable at best.
Any future attempts to subvert the competition will result in that person being unable to vote in any of the Pickies for a whole calendar year. Remember that, James.
Number 8, James is sorry for what he did.
All right. Reverse order of last year. Sorry, John, you finished last year, so you get to go first in round 1. What do you think is going to happen in
All right.
2026?
So my round pick is that Apple is going to release at least one brand new app, either a system app or something that's available on an app store for any device. So what this could include would be something like Final Cut for the iPad, which is available on a store. Or it could include something like Invites, which is just, I think, is that one? Maybe that's not automatically installed. Anyway, it could either be a system app, one that's available on the App Store, or it could even be, I said an App Store, not the App Store. It could be a new Windows or Android app.
Okay, so it's not for all devices. It's just one new app this year. A new app that has not existed before that will either appear as a system app or be available for download somewhere. Somehow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's
Maybe on the Epic Games Store for all we know.
I like this pick, John, because it's broad enough that it could happen, but I feel like it also could totally not happen. So
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it. The surprise app. I love it. James?
My pick is, and this could go wrong, Apple introduces a computer with an M5 Ultra processor. Now, knowing my luck, they will introduce an M4 Ultra processor. But
They may.
I'm hoping that, like the version numbers, all the numbers will be the same.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, they said that they weren't going to do an Ultra in every generation, but if they skipped M4 and did an M5 Ultra, that would do it. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. 2 years
I mean,
in a
maybe
row,
they
though.
introduce
That's
an
risky.
M6 Ultra. Who knows?
Well, again, I like how it could go wrong or it could make you look brilliant. I am going to go with a new rumor that just was floated a couple weeks ago, and I love it, and it's so hilarious that I'm just going to pick it, which is somehow the iMac Pro returned.
Now, is this going to be called an iMac Pro? Is that part of your pick?
You know, a part of my pick, I guess, is we'll all know it when we see it, right? If there's an iMac with a big screen and high-end processors, and they just call it a big iMac or something, it's still an iMac. We know what it is. It's an iMac Pro. It's a big one with the Pro level processors, not the baby processors like the base iMac.
I will bet you that this is someone who saw a new studio display in a factory somewhere.
I think that may be true, but Gurman seemed fairly confident.
True.
2 years ago that this he's been reporting about this product, the Apple Silicon iMac Pro, for like 4 years, and it was like they kind of want to do it, but not enough to prioritize it. It got bumped from M2, and then there was a report that they were seeing testing of a device that seemed like it might be, or in a binary that they didn't mean to release or whatever, an actual
Right.
iMac Pro. And I'm waiting for Gurman to say, no, that's not it. But as we record this, it's out there. And I feel like with Gurman saying they kind of always wanted to do it, maybe this will be
Yeah.
the case. Although I don't understand it. I feel like Apple has made a really great case to, we make displays and we make laptops that you can connect to those displays and they're very powerful, or you can get a Mac Studio. Do you need to integrate a computer into that display? I don't see it, but if Gurman's
don't
reporting
either.
that people inside Apple think it should happen, maybe people inside Apple have a reason for it to happen. So we'll see.
I mean, that Studio display has a processor in it anyway. Just slap a Pro processor in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's running at that point, right? At that point, it could just use an whatever processor, like the cheap laptop that's being rumored, right?
Right.
Just
Right.
boot Mac OS on your display.
Yeah, definitely. All right, on to round 2, where I predict that Apple opens up its private cloud compute LLM to developers, because right now it's not available. You can only do the on-device stuff as a developer.
Right. But you can do it in shortcuts. It makes me think that you're right, and that will happen. I wonder how, and I wonder if they're going to like charge developers for usage.
Yeah, I suspect that this is a capacity thing, that they
Mhm.
haven't been able to scale up the server farms and stuff quickly enough to have done that, last year.
I was thinking about WeatherKit, right? Which is
Right.
the Dark Sky API rebooted as an Apple thing. And Apple gives developers a certain number of API calls on that. But beyond that,
True.
you have to pay them. And in a way, that's because, it's basically a weather API and they don't want to give it away for free and all of that. And I wonder if that could be the model here, that they're going to charge for usage of it as it scales. Because I actually think that's kind of fair, that you shouldn't, I doubt that Apple wants to make private cloud compute resources available for free. So it'll be interesting to see how they do it. But I do think they'll do it. I think this is a good pick.
My pick for round 2 is that significant changes are made to Liquid Glass in the 27 updates.
Okay.
Now, I think we'll know it when we see it.
Any thoughts about what that might be?
Well, having spent the last month and a bit working away on Liquid Glass
Yeah.
in my Dice app, there are just so many cases where you can come up with something completely unreadable. And I've got code and it just flips between the old code and the new code. And like the old code is much more readable.
Yeah.
And there has to be at least more things that they can tweak. I mean, with some of the stuff, it's like give developers like a control over the amount of blurring that's happening behind the glass and things like that. Because sometimes, all you need is just like, 20% more blur, and then it would be completely readable. So I think the picking frosted glass or whatever the option is called that turned up in the 26.1 updates, I think we'll get something more. And, I don't imagine that it's the people are going, oh, well, Alan Dye's left, so everything is going to completely change overnight. I don't think that.
Right.
But I think we will see perhaps some more gentle improvements.
Yeah. Maybe it's going to be something a little bit like light and dark mode, where there's like totally clear and frosted mode. There's
readable and not readable mode.
Right. I mean, it's sort of in there in a way already. I mean, you see elements of that throughout the OSs. It's just not super consistent yet.
I think the interesting thing about this pick, James, is that you're putting the definition of significant in our hands.
Yes.
Yeah, and I feel, as we have stated, that at least 2 of the 3 of us are honorable people. I think we if it's just completely minor and I'm like arguing for some slightly rounded corner or somewhere, then you can just tell me to get lost.
Okay, it's in the transcript now. All right, yeah. I'm gonna just do it again because I'm also trying to kick that football. New home device with a screen this time for sure. There it is. I mean, I said it.
We will see what happens with Apple Intelligence and Siri over the coming months. Maybe
unscored. But when do you think this will be, Jason?
Oh, the rumors are that the hardware is basically done.
Yeah.
and they are just waiting for the software to catch up. So what I am tempted to say is late spring, because they have promised that they're going to ship those features, and I think they got to do it before WWDC. Although they did say in the coming year, there's a whole coming year of 26, so we could see. I'm going to say fall though,
That's where I'm thinking too, actually.
because I feel like it's just too much, and they're going to want to roll that stuff out, and they're going to want it to be at least somewhat solidified, and maybe even do a little OS revision and then get it out for the holidays, basically, like get it out in the fall.
Yeah, it would be a good device to have in the spring alongside iPads, for instance.
Yeah.
However, I kind of agree with you. I think it's more likely to be in the fall. I think that the delays of Smarter Siri, we have not seen the end of them.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
I think that there's going to be people who, if a feature is not done that the hardware depends on, they're not going to, like roll the dice on that. They're gonna want to be sure.
How would you like to be the person whose job is to charge up all of those things that are sitting in a warehouse?
Oh yeah.
Well, they've got that technology now, that thing where they can, software update phones that are still in the box. So, maybe that
Zap them with laser beams. Is that what you're saying?
something.
Right. That roll the dice. That's, I guess, product placement for Dice by Peak.
Yes, that was placement.
Yes.
Placement.
Okay, round 3.
All right. So I think that Apple is going to debut a new subscription service. And what I'm thinking here is something health related, probably. I think the risk here is that it all just gets rolled into Fitness Plus, but I could also see some sort of AI health advice type of feature that becomes a separate thing.
This reminds me of our discussion of the satellite feature.
Yeah.
It's the subscribe or die.
It is a little bit.
Yeah, I mean they want to. I think the question is, do they recast Fitness Plus and roll that AI coach into it?
Yeah.
Or do they revamp, it and call it something, Health Plus or whatever? I don't know. Apple Health.
Yeah. James, subscribe and die is something we're already quite used to in America. So I think that this will do better. This will do better than the satellite
I
service.
forgot your health system was based on that process.
Yeah. James.
I am going to say that Apple unveils a device with a previously unseen form factor. And this covers like 13 rumors.
Wow.
So you've got your home device with a screen.
Yeah.
That would be the new thing. Folding phone would also be a new thing, and if there's a significant redesign to like a big iMac type stuff. I think, again, we'll know it if we see it, but I'm sure we're going to get something.
Yeah, I like the broadness of this pick. It's just something new. Apple's going to do something new. Could be anything. Could be if that cheap MacBook is not just a recast of the MacBook Air, but is different. I like it.
Or it could be if they do a new hoodie in the company store, right?
Device.
I think that's a
hoodie
device.
Is not a device.
It would have to be a hoodie that like had some USB-C port or something.
Let's not kick this back to Robot or Not again with these things about what kind of hoodies are devices. All right. My prediction: touchscreen MacBook Pros will arrive. I think everybody's expecting that. It might happen in another year, but I'm going to say in the fall, touchscreen MacBook Pros will arrive. And here's the complication. I think the macOS interface won't be dramatically changed to accommodate it. And yes, dramatically is going to be open to your interpretation, but I do think we know it when we see it or don't see it, because I don't think Apple's going to mess up macOS just so that touchscreen MacBook Pros have easier times touching objects on screen. I have used macOS on screen sharing on an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's not
too bad.
Ideal, but it's fine.
And liquid glass is kind of got bigger
it is
hit
already
targets, so maybe things will just get 10% bigger again.
Yeah, the OS has already gotten a little chunkier as it is, so right. I can see that. I could see that. All right, so round 4, My prediction is that Smarter Siri is going to get rolled out in stages, and that some of the features that were demoed in 2024 at WWDC will not be out by WWDC 2026. So in terms of scoring, what I'm thinking is we need to be able to recreate those demos that Craig Federighi did, like when he went to pick up his mom at the airport and figure out whether there was when he had to leave the restaurant to go to the airport, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so the idea here is, this is what you were saying earlier. It's like they're going to start rolling this stuff out, but it's going to be more drips and drabs, not a big drop all at once, and that some of the things are probably going to drip all the way into June.
Yes, and it's going to overlap too, because I fully expect by June that we will start seeing new things like, new schemas that are going to be introduced for app intents and stuff like that. I think that they'll do more, but I also think that some of this stuff is not going to be ready even until at least after June.
I think that's a fairly safe bet. I've also gone for a safe bet. I've gone for Apple is going to blame the European Commission for something in a press release. Because Apple loves to say how the European Commission is just making everything harder for everyone. And
okay, so this is not a statement to the press. This is in a press release. So basically something on Newsroom that blames the European Commission for something.
Yeah, no, this is specifically a post on Newsroom which will say, we couldn't do this because the European Commission said it's not allowed. Yeah. Like, Smarter Siri rolls out everywhere except Europe.
Right. Or they'll blast the European Commission for something.
Yeah, this I think is a little risky because I generally think that Apple doesn't put people on blast in press releases. They may make a statement somewhere to like 9 to 5 or something, right? But they very rarely say in the press releases that, yeah, you're not getting this thing because the EC says no way. But we'll see.
They have done it, so this is why.
No, I know they have.
Yeah,
I know they have.
And sometimes they make those statements that are the Newsroom post that is like thoughts on flash kind of Newsroom post where they're like, this is anti-competitive and blah blah blah, and like they're over-regulating us, and that could happen.
Yes.
Get the thoughts on the European Commission.
So here's I think this is a fun one because it's going to depend on our reaction next year to this. but I think it's very much in the you know it when you see it. Here's my prediction. We will be able to say on next year's episode that Siri is better and not collapse in rueful laughter about the state of Siri. I'm not saying that Siri is great. I'm just saying if we agree that a year later, Siri has gotten better. And we'll know it. We will either know it did or we'll know it didn't. And I'm going to say it will be better, not great, but better.
I mean, just because they release the new version does not necessarily mean it's better. If they release a new version and it says something wildly inappropriate to someone and that makes the news, I think we will still collapse and rueful laugh.
We'll see. But if in day-to-day use, if it turns out that actually Siri's way better and we're using it more and all of that, then I think that I get it. So I think we'll know.
Yeah.
Like, did they make Siri better in 2026? We'll find out.
I think we'll know because I can tell you right now, looking at it today, definitely didn't happen in 2025.
Yeah. We can all do the rueful laughter now, and we are inside. So okay, we'll see.
If Siri just doesn't say, I can look that up for you on your phone or something like that. I just want it to tell me the answer to my question.
All right. We are going into the final round, round 5. And I want to put together a string of conditions on my last pick, very much like Mike Hurley likes to do on the prompt.
I love it.
All right. So I predict that Apple will release a new studio display that's going to have Thunderbolt 5. It's going to have a brighter 120 hertz refresh rate, and it's going to be OLED, which I think is probably the riskiest part of that.
Yeah, I think that's...
but it's not going to have HDMI or DisplayPort.
I think everything in that, apart from the word OLED,
I know.
That was with.
Yeah.
I debated that one for a long time, but
it's a passionate pick. I love it. People,
yeah, you can get a really good display that has all of those things for less than a studio display right now. If you're willing to go with something from Samsung or LG or Asus or any of them,
yeah,
interesting. as an aside, when I heard about that iMac Pro rumor, and it's supposed to be like a 32-inch iMac Pro, I thought Apple really, really, really needs to re-engineer the external monitor mode on iMacs. I plug this every year every time the iMac comes out, I mention it. But like for a company that's supposedly supportive of environmental issues, forcing people because the screens last way longer than the computers do. They just do.
Yeah.
And forcing you get an iMac, or especially that huge iMac Pro screen, and you should be able to use it as an external display for something else as an option. And I think it's a shame. I understand why it didn't happen in the early days, but like we can do this now with Thunderbolt 5. We can do it.
Yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. I actually just abandoned my studio display for a 32-inch OLED screen from Asus because I wanted HDMI. It was really not much more than that, and I wanted something bigger too, and I wanted OLED. So
yeah, I wish they would, even if it's just Thunderbolt, and there's a mode you can put the display the iMac in, and it turns it into a Thunderbolt display. That would be fine, but they should do that. It's just it's a real shame that they don't, because they're wasting those displays that could be repurposed. Your iMac gets a little old, you buy a Mac Studio, you plug it into the back of the iMac, and now it's a Mac Studio display. I think that's not a studio display, a Mac Studio with a display. Anyway.
Yeah, no, even the studio display has this problem to a degree, because you can't just plug a Windows PC into a studio display.
I will say that I tried that Samsung display that is the equivalent, and like I didn't like the junk, right? Because Samsung puts all their junk around it, and even when you turn it on, there's like Samsung junk that then has to go away. But what I did like about it is you could plug other stuff into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing. That's why I got it. I've got a mini PC and a Switch 2 connected to my display in my office now.
Nice.
So my last pick is that Tim Cook announces his succession plan. And, as we keep saying, never have a succession plan.
Rule 1, no succession plans.
But I think this might be the year that we get at least, he might not retire, or he might not change his position next year, but I think we're going to hear something.
They're going to communicate what's going to happen with Tim Cook over time.
Yes.
Okay.
He is going to be uploaded into the Apple cloud compute.
Wow. He's going to be private cloud compute.
Great. CEO forever. He'll be chief digital officer.
He will be the basis of the new Siri.
Okay, I'm going to do a little more targeted version of James's pick for my pick, which is I like this theory that it's going to go in stages, and so I'm going to predict that in addition to remaining as CEO throughout this year, well, let's not say that. He might stop being CEO at some point in 26, but before that, there will be a period of time where he becomes chairman of the board and is still CEO. Now, maybe after that, he drops the CEO later in the year or something like that. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want to predict that, because he might very well not be CEO at the end of the year. But I do think they're going to do this thing where they're going to elevate him to the board. And it's just a theory. But I've seen now, I think Gurman said that was also a possibility. So like, I like that idea because it keeps him around. But and the CEO is allowed in the board guidelines to be the chairman of the board, and the current board chair has to come off the board because he's 75. So it seems to me that's what you want to do, and that's what Steve did, right? That's what Steve's plan was, and then he passed away so quickly that it didn't really happen. But like that was the whole idea of the Steve Jobs leadership transition, was going to be he's going to be chairman.
Maybe Tim Cook will become interim CEO.
iCEO is back. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Especially if he gets uploaded to the cloud, then he can be iCEO.
Yeah.
Well, I think that reaches the end. I think we're at the end of this episode of Connected, this perfectly regular episode of Connected. But, Happy New Year to everybody. James, John, it's always a pleasure to talk to you folks. It's great. I mean, we do it all the time, but it's always great. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
All right. That's it. Whole year ahead of us. Parting words, and then we'll say goodbye. John, parting words?
I'll be back.
Laugh hard, run fast, be kind.
Yeehaw!